Let's see. I'll have a number 5, or I'll have a number 9, or God. Mhm.
Hello, and welcome everyone to this very special episode. Today, I'm joined by the Pringle Can and the man himself, Mr. Quincy Pringle.
Hello, how you
Hello,
doing?
yeah. Previously known for his works on games such as Life Teen, Super Coffee, and Donuts, he's been hard at work on his newest game and potentially magnum opus, Other Her Loving Embrace. He's also anti-new Twitter layout. Just felt like I should mention that.
Yeah, I that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
I would be a little more, I guess, clear with how I feel about the new Twitter layout. However, that would probably get me banned.
Oof.
We wouldn't want that,
Oh,
would
of
we?
course not. Of course not. I'm here today to ask him a couple of questions and just generally discuss stuff. Basically just extracting him for spoilers and all that. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. But welcome again. Thank you for coming out.
Gershom dies.
Well, all right, cool. So I thought I would segue this by talking about what you thought of the video. And if you haven't seen it, here's a link on screen right now. I'm just kidding. I just put that there. But I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it. What do you think?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was a really nice surprise, actually. It's really funny. Like, it just, it's when I make games, I really like making games because I really like, making people smile, making people laugh,
Mhm.
giving people a good time,
Mhm.
give them some, to talk about, and just kind of sharing my love for video games as a whole, and so like it was really wild seeing a video. Like, I've seen, so many videos like yours, like that one about other games, and just, seeing one about something I made was like, wow, that's really cool.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really sweet. It was very nice of you to make that video. So thank you very
Yeah,
much.
of course, of course. It was, I don't know, like, I don't know about you, but just when a game like really speaks to you, it like checks all the right boxes and things like that. I really feel like the project itself is like, it's doing that for me. It's checking all my
Mhm.
boxes and just
Thank you.
doing so much more. And I looked online. I looked on YouTube and I'm like, what? There's nothing on this like at all. I mean, it's hard. Mustering up all of the extra footage and all of the like spare clips and just audio files that like were thrown around various parts of the internet that I had to go and
Mhm.
scavenge for.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely feel like more people should know about it. It's totally the game that like you don't know that you want until you see it, and that's kind of what I want to convey most when I was like working on that. I just
Mhm.
and it's doing that. Like I've talked about it with my friends who knew that I was like working on something, but they had no idea, and they were. And I showed it to them, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is awesome! Oh my god!" So
Thank you.
yeah, no, and I don't have the biggest following, but it's all right.
Mhm.
Just getting more people hyped about it is always you know
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate, any comment, any, video, anything. Like, it just, it really speaks to me, and it, helps remind me of why I make games in the first place. So
hell
I
yeah.
really I really appreciate it, man.
Of course, of course. Well, I got another question here for you. So you mentioned obviously
Mhm.
you're very passionate about video games, and of course that makes you a consumer. So I gotta ask, what are your top 3 favorite video games?
Oh my God.
Yeah, putting you on the spot like that.
It's really hard because it's the same way with movies too. I love movies and I watch a lot of movies.
Hmm.
And I listen to a lot of music, but it's really hard because there's so much stuff that I like. Oh my God. I have a couple like 9x9 saved on my computer somewhere. Let me dig them
Oh
up.
sure.
Let's see. I will say I typically enjoy games that have I typically prefer, I guess, 2D over 3D games. Here we go. I guess, well, I won't give you my top 3, but I will give you some just, I guess, particularly influential games
Sure.
or games I really, really like.
Oh sure.
So I think, and I'm trying to think of which game to say first because I feel like whatever one I say first is like, that's the game. That's like the definitive game. But really, like, this is not in any particular order. Sonic 3 and Knuckles,
Sure.
super influential game.
Oh, yeah.
Love that game. I'm also gonna say Doom, the first Doom. That is a game I can play like anytime. Then there's so many mods and stuff for it
Oh
that
yeah.
it's like it's you can never get bored playing it.
Mhm.
Okay, mega like my favorite series like Castlevania. Mega Man. My favorite Mega Man games probably Mega Man X2, or because I'm an idiot and I have as many IQ cells as I have fingers. Mega Man 1. Let's see, I love Metal Slug 3, I love MGS 3, Kirby Air Ride, Cave Story,
Oh yeah.
Superstar Saga, Chrono Trigger,
Oh yeah.
Neo Turf Masters, JoJo Heritage of the Future. Let's see, Donkey Kong 98, Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 5, Aliens. Did I already say Alien Soldier? F-Zero GX, Castlevania Bloodlines. I don't know. I love games. I guess I should, to condense it down. My favorite genres are platforming games, RPGs.
Oh yeah.
Especially RPGs of all kinds. Doesn't matter if it's turn-based or like action RPG stuff like Zelda.
Yeah.
And I also really do like maybe racing games if they're like really good racing games.
Sure.
But
there you go.
Yep. So that's the Pringle list.
Anything but his top 3 favorite games. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. Yeah, no, some of them definitely speak to me. Cave Story is a big one for me. I love me some Cave Story. It definitely changes up a lot of things. Superstar Saga, oh my god, I can play that game any day of the week. Absolutely.
Me too.
Amazing. Just some really, really solid titles. Kirby Air Ride, I really want to get good at, but I just haven't really, had the friends to play it with. Well, no, I have the friends to play it with, but I don't own the game, but it's always a good time. And I know people go crazy for City Trial, but like, yeah.
Yeah, it's really well. If it helps, Dolphin Net Play is like incredibly easy to set up.
You're right.
And Kirby Air Ride is a game that works really well with it.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure. One thing I will say though, I am not a Sonic fan, and I don't see myself ever becoming one. I want to like Sonic because so many people do, but like, I don't 2D, 3D. It's a bit rough, right? I mean, I don't know, but again, it's influenced so many people's lives, and it's a masterpiece. People have called it. I wish I could get into it as the next person.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. I've never been like a particularly invested member in the Sonic community, but I know a lot of people who are.
Sure.
I know a few people who have run YouTube channels, about Sonic, or I've known people who, have worked with Sega before, who have worked on titles like Sonic Mania or Sonic Boom for Wii U, stuff like that. And I've been around a lot of fans and a lot of like community stuff for a while. I actually just went to an event in Savannah called Sonic Fan Jam that one of my friends was at. I went to go help them out. But I wouldn't exactly call myself a Sonic fan either. I really like the 2D Sonic games, but that's about it. I really like the music though.
Yeah.
Like the music is spectacular.
Oh yeah, that I will say that's pretty nice. Like, I'll mess with some Green Hill. I'll mess with some Chemical Plant. Like, good stuff. Good stuff. For sure. All right.
Oh boy.
Other baby. All right. Currently, to my knowledge, you are in the phase where you're getting somewhat close to testing out what will be the demo, right? You have some playtesters on there.
Yes.
I want to know how the feeling of it all coming together is for you.
Oh, it rocks. I'm gonna be honest. These past couple months have like really, really sucked because a lot of the work that I was doing was very like, it was so tedious, where it was just like, with game development, it's like an iceberg. You see 10% of it, and the 90% is like underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I don't, but like, yeah.
Yeah, you get it. So, because I'm releasing a playable chunk of the game that is essentially final, like, I'm obviously going to go back and touch some stuff up after the game, is done, like what Undertale did for its demo. But I have to get everything working. I have to get, cutscenes, inventory, equipping and unequipping items, using items in battle skills, enemies, EXP, like remembering what chests you've opened and remembering which are closed, saving and loading and making sure nothing breaks when you close the game and open it back up again.
Very meticulous.
You have to get everything working.
Of course.
And it's like, before you can start assembling the game, it's like before you build the house, you have to build the foundation.
Yeah.
So I've spent, and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter too, I've spent a lot of time making like the tools and the framework and just everything needed to actually like make the game. And so the actual game, like the areas you run around in, the enemies you fight, there hasn't been a lot of it there until earlier this year. So getting to that point and like, you know, you're making stuff and stitching it together, and then it's like, whoa, this is actually a game now. This is really cool.
Yeah.
It feels awesome. It feels really cool because not only do you get to actually like really play what you've, you know, been making, but you get to show it with other people, and you get to hear their reactions about it, you know, and they get excited about it. And it really, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's like,
This is where it
that's
pays
the
off,
coolest
man.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped. I really need money, so I hope it pays off.
No, I gotcha for sure. Yeah, and I mean, are you like anxious? Because I mean, it's going to be premiering at a convention center, like on the floor. Like people are going to be playing.
Yeah.
This, and you'll probably be watching them. Or you, I couldn't imagine the thoughts that you're thinking. Like, oh my god, is this right? Oh my god, will they catch this? Or like,
so
is the anxiety there?
yes and no, like, because I am typically the kind of person who has a lot of anxiety about this sort of thing, or in general. But I'm confident because I know that I've done my best.
That's the best. That's the best.
And you know, I've been like super crunching myself for these past couple of weeks, just to make sure I have like not everything, you know, done like day of. So I've been crunching myself so I can have everything done like a week and a half in advance.
Yeah.
So I can have, you know, everything ready and I'm comfortable about it. So that in case any bugs, crazy stuff does pop up, you know, I'll be ready to go.
That's good.
So I'm really excited about it because, you know, like I said earlier, I really, really enjoy, you know, people enjoying my work. Like it makes me really happy. You know, not because of like any sort of, I mean, I suppose there is a bit of validation kind of stuff to it.
Yeah.
But I just like making other people happy. Like that's my favorite thing ever. And so I'm really excited for the chance to share what I've made with other people. So that I feel that much more than I do with any, I guess, anxiety stuff. Plus I just got these 2 sick Sega Saturn controllers and I'm really excited to show them off.
Yeah. You posted on Twitter about that. I saw those.
Yeah,
that was sick.
I'm just that's me gloating.
That was sick.
But yeah, no, for real, I am really excited.
Gotcha.
We'll see what happens. I'm also gonna have what has been a little stressful is I'm coordinating some merch stuff to be ready for the convention.
Oh yeah. You've been
so,
polling, right? Just figuring.
Yeah. So I guess here's a little exclusive announcement for you. At the convention, I will be selling posters and stickers. So I got a sticker sheet. And I got a nice 18 by 24 matte 90 weight cardstock poster of the box art for the game. And it's going to look fresh as hell. I can't wait.
Oh my god. Mail me that. I can't show up, which is the worst. It's really unfortunate, but
I'm going to have a ton of extras.
I have all my questions on a memo pad that I was just writing and
Oh, sure.
Sure. Okay. We're gonna get back into it. Here we go. Okay, so random cut, I'm sure, but now we're good. Okay. I want to hear more about. Well, we already kind of know like where the origin of the wizard's design came from. Like you obviously created him when you were developing Spud, right?
Yeah, super pretentious underground dungeon.
Oh yeah. But I want to hear more about like the concept for Gershom. So like, was he a thing when Spud was being created, or was it just entirely this is Gershom, others baby? Yeah, so Gershom
is a character in Spud. He I mean, he's not a kid in Spud because Spud okay, so let me just start from the top to explain everything.
Sure.
So Super Pretentious Underground Dungeon was a game that existed that I was making. I mean, am making technically, still does exist. So yeah, Gershom was a character in Spud. So they're in Spud, they're like super best buddies. And so when I was coming up with the idea for other, you know, the wizard in Spud was like, he was like 40, like 45. He was an older guy. But other takes place like much earlier.
Like you said, like 20 years or something. I remember reading somewhere.
Yeah, Gershom's like 11 or 12. 10, 11, 12, and the wizard's like I want to say 20. Others started out as a prequel to Spud called The Underground Dungeon. The plot was very different. It was still the prequel, but the plot was very different. Then, as I was working on it, I kind of had the idea of, you know what? Hey, I really like these characters and their dynamic in Spud. You know, what if I made a game kind of exploring like their relationship of like, okay, how do they meet? You know, how did they become friends? You know, did they like fight? You know, did they like instantly hit it off? What happened? What was this like? So I came up with this idea, this story, and I thought it would be really fun to make the wizard like the supporting character, side character.
Yeah.
Something I really wanted to do with this story is, you know, it's like Gershom's got his stuff going on. There's like the world and its problems and all sorts of things, you know. But then the wizard, he's got his own stuff going on too, and his story is a little more in the background. But he's still, you know, he's still got stuff, and so it's like I really wanted to make a story where he was just kind of there, not necessarily the main focus.
Definitely, like I was reading about it, and his story is definitely, I guess, more integral, and it sets some things into motion. You know, with like the events of Chestertown and everything that's going on with him, and I definitely see the characterizations of them through their dialogue. The dialogue is super important, and I really like it. So like I definitely see the way that I see it right now from a spectator, I guess, standpoint, is that Gershom is just like, you know, I don't want to say like your average like typical run-of-the-mill hero that needs to become one, and he's, you know, weak at first because he's so young and things like that. And then definitely the wizard as someone who thinks like he knows everything and he's all that, but he really isn't. Right? That's how I see it. I'm sure that's how everyone else views these characters. But man, that bowl cut.
The barbers in Chestertown are incredibly lazy and are paid minimum wage.
There you go. Let's actually talk about, still on the topic of characters, I want to hear more about Ruby. You know, everyone's favorite laid-back shopkeeper. I love her design. From the moment that I saw her looking all bored, dude, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a fun character. Tell me about her.
Yeah, Ruby is, you know, she travels around. She's very mobile, going from place to place. I wouldn't exactly call her a treasure hunter, although she does occasionally break in to places to steal treasure.
Yeah, she's interesting.
She's more of like a dealer, a broker for like black market objects and artifacts, magical items, things like that, and also just whatever stuff she can sell. She's trying to make a lot of money as fast as she can. She's very chill. She's very relaxed. And doesn't always think about what she should be doing at times. And so what often happens is she'll get a bunch of money and then she'll spend it really quickly.
And the cycle continues.
She's just, yes, exactly.
I got you.
So
That's
she's
really
just
cool.
in this money cycle.
I'm personally looking forward to like chatting and talking and stuff like that. I brought up this point, like the idea of like a first-person shopping games, like and where you could like interact with the character or the shopkeeper and like know more about them. Like to me, that's just like really awesome. It's a really like intimate sort of deal because you see this character all the time. Obviously, you're gonna want to know what they're about.
Well, first of all, I know a lot of people are thinking Undertale when you see like a first-person shop, but I actually got really inspired. I was really inspired by Shining in the Darkness, which is the prequel to Shining Force on the Sega Genesis. Shining in the Darkness, a lot of people don't talk about it because the Shining Force games are much more popular.
Right.
But it was a dungeon crawler kind of first-person thing, the first in the series. One thing I really wanted to do with Ruby is that for every item you can buy from her, she'll talk about it like at length. I think that was one thing you're able to see in the preview clip that I released.
Yeah.
You know, so if you hover on an item, like, you know, for example, the mushroom biscuit, you know, she'll talk about it like, oh, you know, haha, I made this from stuff I found lying around. You probably shouldn't actually get this. You know, if it's something like a potion, you know, she might talk about how, you know, where this potion was manufactured or, you know, what she thinks about it. So it's a way to learn more about the world. It's a way to learn more about Ruby and like what she likes and doesn't like, you know, you're just her as a character. It's also just a way for me to tell stupid jokes and say silly stuff.
Of course.
So I am, and of course you can just talk with her too about all sorts of topics not related to the items. So you can ask her, you know, like questions about herself or what she thinks about a specific topic, you know, and she'll tell you about it.
That's awesome. And I'm assuming that like as the game progresses, there are different questions you'll ask her and stuff like that.
Yeah, and she has a few different locations too.
That's super dynamic.
So you'll be able to run into her and just kind of, you know, yeah.
That's amazing. All right. Well, she does mention another certain town that no one's talking about, but I'm like, I see you, I
Oh,
see you. So that's Galloway. If did I say that correctly?
oh, Galloway. Yes, Galloway is the name of the person/company that manufactures the potions.
Oh, okay. Because if I didn't know any better, I thought it was another town.
Yeah, she does mention another place called Adithia.
Right.
Did I
Yeah, you
did I
did.
show that
It's
in the clip?
yeah,
I thought I
it's
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you did. It's like idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
want to know like how game devs always are thinking of like names of areas. Like, what made you think of Chestertown? What made you think of Adithia? What made you think of this? You know, like this
Okay.
Solastran outpost, or you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the Slostrians. Yeah. So well, specifically, like I come up with like the tone of how I want something to sound. Like for example, anything having to do with the Solostrians is going to be like very like kind of like grand sounding.
Sure.
You know,
Solastran. Yeah.
anything. The Kingdom of Golden, which is where Chestertown is located, and it's like the greater setting of the game, even though you really don't like. You're for the most part, you know, just around Chestertown. You know, it's like I wanted to pick stuff that had a very kind of like classical, like European feel to it. You know,
Yeah.
In the case of Chestertown specifically, this was like a super low hanging fruit to people who had heard of him before. But there was a very famous fiction and apologetics writer named G.K. Chesterton, and I really like a lot of his stuff.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, let me just add a W, so Chesterton becomes Chestertown, and like that's all it was. I just thought it was a nice place, nice town sounding
Oh,
name.
sure. I'd say so.
And then Adithia, that was just a play on a family member's name, and Galloway was just like I read Galway or Galsway or something somewhere, and I liked it, but I was like, let me change it a little bit so it's not like the name of a real place.
Sure.
Although I do think Galloway actually is a surname or a real life location too, but it wasn't chosen for any particular reason aside from just I liked the way it sounded. And that's
gotcha.
the way a lot of stuff is. There is I'm gonna say the rule for naming in my games are I chose it because I thought it sounded cool, except when I didn't, and there's a very specific reason. When this is the case and when this is not the case, you will have to figure that out on your own.
There you go. Okay. All right. I'm gonna redirect real quick. Actually, I'm going to talk about the art style. So I want to know.
Oh,
I want
boy.
to know. So obviously, the tile set, the Zoria tile set, right?
Yeah.
Was that like? Did you plan the concept
Like
of
commission
it,
that?
or not necessarily? Yeah, I guess commission that, or was it just like, oh, you found it and it was like a meant to be situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like, you know, it was like, okay, I'm looking for this kind of, you know, graphic style. And actually, Dragon De Platino, I think that's how you say his name.
I thought.
don't
Hold
think
on, I
anyone
thought about
does.
this actually, and I'm like, as soon as I was done recording, I'm like, it's De Platino or some Italian sounding. I'm like, damn it, but I don't know.
De Platino. I always say in my head, I say Dragon De Platino.
That's how. Yeah, same.
I've been a big fan of his work for a long time. We've talked a little bit over the years,
sure.
you know. And I was going through, you know, some tile sets and stuff, and I saw this, and I was like, wow, this is like literally perfect. This is like exactly what I would want this to look like. So I just started using it, and yeah, it's really cool. I don't remember. I think it's not open source, but it's like attribution. It's one under some like attribution license, so anyone can really make a game with those tiles. And so what I've done since is expanded on it, where I've made some art for it, or I've had pick the main spriter for the game. You know, we'll make stuff to go along with it, because you know, one thing that the Zoria Tileset and other don't have in common is the NPCs, the people. Basically, like the only tiles I'm really using from the Zoria Tileset are just the environment tile sets. Everything else is custom, basically. But the art style arose because if you're asking about the art style specifically,
Sure.
Spud got too expensive to make. So other came from a desire, or others art direction came from a desire of like, okay, I love pixel graphics. I want to work with something that, you know, looks good, but I also have to keep it manageable. A big reason why I'm being so strict with the art direction style of this game, because I am trying to be very consistent about the color palette and tile limitations and stuff like that. Not all the time, because if it comes down to whether something looks better doing it by breaking limitations, I'm going to break the limitations. But this, from the roguelike or roguelite or original version of this project, I was really inspired by like I wanted to make a very archaic feeling game. Lots of keyboard inputs, like not just like 3 buttons and then like the arrows.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to do it old school. And originally, there weren't even like moving sprites. You could only draw things in specifically like 16 by 16 grid on the screen. It was a hard grid because I wanted to try making a game like that. It was just an experiment. Yeah. So, but I did pick the art style as an economic thing because well, not even then, because I do enjoy pixel art, but I guess in comparison to doing like more detailed pixel art like Spud, it was just money. I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't afford it.
I gotcha. And I mean, on the topic of detail and things like that, I really appreciate when the atmosphere is is prioritized. Like, so for instance, I would look at the sky of the northern stilts and I was like, holy moly, this I like those clouds. And then you transition into a battle and the clouds are still there in the background, and I'm paying attention to all the stuff that's going on in the battle backgrounds, which I know has been a huge undertaking, getting all the layers and stuff on there. I couldn't imagine the extra effort that you're putting into that, and I'm just like, damn. So it's like, it's really consistent, the fact that like the sky is the same in battle. I mean, because in a game like Mother 1, that obviously wasn't possible due to limitations, but it was a black background for every enemy, you know what I mean? But just to kind of see the environment as if you were like looking first person into that enemy, like the enemy, like, and then the background behind it, it's just super cool. That was another cut. I don't know where we are now. It's cool, though. You guys won't know this. All right, cool. I wanted to talk about Pick, your homie.
Pick, my boy.
My boy. Your boy. Not my boy, what? But anyway, I want to talk about Pick, though. Because, like, how'd you just, like, know him? And, like...
How did I meet Pick? How did I meet Pick? I was on a... Okay, so here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. There's 2 Picks.
I knew it!
There's 2 Picks. There's they both do like art. They both do pixel art. One of them does also like 3D modeling stuff, and he was the one that was working on Project M and a couple other things. And then so there's I don't want to say pick A and pick B because I don't want to demean one by saying that one's lesser or first. So I'm going to say pick 1 and pick A. Nice. Pick 1 worked on the only thing I can remember off the top of my head that he worked on is Project M. He's really good at pixel art too. And then Pick A is the one working on Mother 4. Oh, I remember now. I was on a server with and they're twin brothers. They're twin brothers who both go by Pick.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I actually don't know if that's supposed to be secret or not. I don't think it is. There's 2 Picks. So we have a mutual friend, and I was talking to my friend one day about like pixel art stuff. I was like, yeah, I need to have a spriter. And he was like, oh, yeah, here, let me text Pick, because they're like friends, and he was like, oh, I'm sure he can do it, So they just started texting, and he was like, oh, this game looks super cool. Yeah, I'd love to do it. So I just DM'd him on Discord, and we just started talking.
That's awesome.
There.
That's cool. That's really
nothing super
no,
crazy.
That's awesome though. That's really cool. I'm glad that he was like really on board with the idea. Obviously, you would probably have to like show some stuff off in the first place.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy though. He's
that's great.
He's really good to work with because he's really good at like getting stuff right like the first time, and he's very good if like you can give him a lot of instruction where you'll be like, okay, I want this to look like this exactly. Here's a crappy little MS Paint thing I made, of what I kind of want it to look like, make it like this except with, this or that. And he'll be like, okay, cool. And then he'll just do it like exactly how you want it. Or you could give him like very little where it's like, okay, I need you to come up with a monster design or a pose. And he'll be like, okay, that's pretty much all I don't know, I have to say. We just kind of like met through a friend, and he's super cool. He's been a very, very valuable part of this project.
Shout out Pick.
Couldn't have done it without him.
Pick A and Pick 1. Both of you homies. Pick.
I think he's trying to transition into Prism, I think is his new name. So I think he's shifting away from Pick.
Shout out Prism. Okay. I just saw Pick from the Gamnesia interview, so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to say, like, I don't know about yourself, like, as of late, I think people have been like really, cool, like down with the idea of like quirky enemy designs and things like that. And others no stranger. We got the Barbarian, bro. We got Frog. We got Claude. We got literally the whole squad rolling up. I just like where I gotta know where you designed or came up with these guys, because they're honestly super memorable.
So a lot of these designs are done by Kelly, and I will pass along the praise. She'll be very happy to hear it.
Oh, Kelly.
With a lot of these designs, it was either it would be Kelly came up with them completely on her own, or I would give like a description and Kelly would do it, or I would give an idea or description to pick and he would draw it. The biggest inspiration for monsters in this game was definitely Dragon Quest. The monster designs in those games are so iconic and so nice. Sure. You know, you got the slime. You got like the killer armor, you got the slime knight, you got all the little dragons, you got the cyclops, you got the ghosts, the golems, healer slimes, like all sorts of stuff. You know, where it's like a very recognizable design of like, oh, this is like a rock monster or like a bat or something, but it still had a very like original kind of look to it. So yeah, Kelly did most of the designs. Although it's probably more like Kelly did 60%, Pick did 20%, I did 20%.
Okay. That begs the question, are some enemies, obviously, are they going to be larger than others? So, like, will they take up maybe more space on, you know, the 2D section? Because from what I can tell, they've all kind of been relatively the same size for you to beat up on.
Right.
But
yes, there will be enemies of different size.
Okay, cool. Right.
Actually, there already are enemies of different size.
Oh, I guess I'm just stupid then. That's really cool though. Like, and obviously, like their movement is gonna be different. Like the way they attack is gonna be different. So like, I was really just, again, it's super dynamic. So, for instance, the Barbara bro, he has I guess when he attacks, he has the move where he'll have axes fly across, from the screen, like from the different sides of the screen. Right, that we've seen, and then there's also been that attack where he'll have like the 4 axes that are over you, and then you have to dodge from the top. So the theme is like axes, like that's his weapon of choice. But it's only like I really wonder, like, because you could do so much. You could do so, again, the potential for this, as I said, is absolutely through the roof. So much can be done with the battle system. In terms of like how many different variations of attacks there are, like, how many do you see being a thing for an enemy, a standard enemy?
Typically, enemies are going to have 3 to 4 attacks.
Wow, okay. I thought you were going to say like 2 and that's it.
No, the Barbara bro actually right now has the least amount of he has the least amount of attacks in the game for an enemy, which is 2. Everyone else has 3 or more. And that's only because I haven't gone in and given him a 3rd attack yet. And for every attack, there's also different variations. When I make the layout of the room, I can set different positions of where exactly the player spawns, like during specific attack or defense, like arenas. So with a lot of these different attacks, the player can appear in start off in different locations, which is a very minor variation. But also based on where they are and just RNG, you know, like the amount of axes that might appear may be different, or maybe they move in a slightly different pattern, or I would compare it to WarioWare in that WarioWare games don't stay the same. As they get harder, they can change a lot.
You make a very fair point. That actually makes it really easy, I think, to understand.
Yeah, so it's basically just like that.
I love me some WarioWare, by the way. I really should get on that.
I played WarioWare DIY so much. I made so much music.
Really?
In that system.
You can do that?
Or in that game, yeah. Yeah, because what WarioWare DIY is, basically, it's like Mario Paint for new generation, essentially.
Okay.
Okay. It was for the DS. You could make your own mini games in it, and then you could make music and you could make comics. Really,
that's interesting. Yep. Because it was always
fun.
The game that I saw, like when I go into like a GameStop and I'm like, do I want this? It says DIY in the title. It sounds like work. So I see that out.
Well, it did come with a bunch of pre-made games too, so it had like just as much content as like the other WarioWares.
Bring back the Wario Land series for real though.
Dude, I know, for real. I'm actually
so upset.
My favorite game in the Wario Land series is actually Virtual Boy Wario Land. It's really good. Have you played it?
I know that it's the best one on that system, and it's like worth playing. Just grayscale everything.
It's definitely the best Virtual Boy game by country mile. But I really like the Wario Land series, but I really like the formula of I really like Wario Land 4. I really like Wario Land 2 and 3.
Yeah, I love.
But I also really like the straight up formula of Wario Land 1. And Wario Land, Virtual Boy Wario Land is basically Wario Land 1, but with like 1,000 coats of polish and everything is just better. Like it's a really well made game.
Like we don't deserve it, but it happened.
Yeah, it did. We didn't deserve it on the Virtual Boy, that's for sure.
It also begs the question, like, you're obviously, you know, using the environment, because like Gershom can wall jump, for one. And I remember I talked about it in the video, like, maybe are some enemies you think gonna really use that environment to the advantage to be, like, you know, be hard to get to?
It depends on the enemy, and also certain moves and upgrades like the wall jump are optional, or not. Like you have to find certain movement upgrades. So
really,
there are certain optional things. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something new.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, it's not like I can make an enemy that you can't damage unless you have the wall jump. Unless I made the wall jump like a mandatory thing
Sure.
you'd have to get in the game, because otherwise, you know, that would be dumb and it wouldn't make sense. So yes and no, but there are upgrades you do get throughout the game that will change the way you can approach enemies and stuff like that. I do take into account with the enemy design.
And then another thing I want to talk about, just one last thing with the battle system, because I know that's like really what like is the main selling point I feel right now for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's like the big draw.
Like that's what's getting people to be like, but one thing that I want to talk about, you know, like the icing on the cake or the cherry on top or whatever metaphor you want to use is definitely the spells and or skills, because I know that you've changed that around. Are they spells or skills? I want to know.
They're skills. Okay. They're skills.
Okay.
Because originally I think it was spells, but then I came to the realization of, oh, not everything you can do is magic.
Yeah, like boasting.
So, and actually, you know what? What I could do, and probably what I should do, or should have done, I think it's a bit late now, I should have done it to where it says spells for Gershom and then it says skills for the wizard.
That's clever. Yeah.
That might have been too confusing though. So I'll just keep it as skills as like a universal thing.
And obviously each party member will have their own unique set. But will they share any? If that's no, they will not.
No.
Cool.
No, it's not like you know, like spells in a game like Final Fantasy where it's like you have these ones that exist and you can just like do them. Yeah. I would say it's more akin to like the Mario and Luigi games where they'll have like character specific attacks.
Is the real time, you know, obviously like the button inputs to get the best sort of combo. So like, you know, with the Baria, you got the bar that goes across and you have to hit in the green, and it's like really cool, and it's like it makes me wonder how like what other stuff can we do with that, because you know, like in Paper Mario you got like you wait for the hammer and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like,
so
I'm wondering if there's gonna be stuff like more akin to that, or it's usually just gonna be like how Baria is set up.
Yeah, no, so how Baria is set up, that's literally just how Baria is. Every single spell in the game has its own unique little thing.
Get out!
And I think you'll like some of them a lot. You'll look at some and you'll be like, oh, you know, I kind of see what this is based off of, or oh, this is, you know. So that is something to definitely look forward to. There's one in particular I'm thinking of right now that you're going to see and you're going to be like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. And that's something that I'm saving for the Kickstarter, so you're just gonna have to wait.
Yes, sir. Oh my god, no, that I did not expect. Now I'm even more hyped. Okay, and this brings us to our final topic. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
It's been almost 2 hours. This is awesome. No, it's good. It's been a great time.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Thanks again for having me.
Definitely. Okay. The music. Now, obviously, we know some of the plugins. Right, the 3x oscillator, that's my shit.
Yes.
I'm using that for a remix right now of something, and I love.
Oh
it.
yeah,
It's a good free, good time. And then you also use stuff akin to Sega Genesis material, right?
Yes, that is the biggest influence / driving force with the game's sound design in general.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. So like, Other is heavily inspired by Sega Genesis titles in terms of its music, because
100%.
And as someone who hasn't necessarily grown up with that, I definitely my viewpoint of it is definitely more, oh, this is I couldn't say, oh my god, that sounds like Genesis, you know. it's definitely going to be like, oh, it sounds a lot like Other has its own, you know, flair to it, and it definitely does. Like, it definitely does. Time Falling again is a super good example of that. It's so good. That 5/4, you hit me with that 5/4. I was like
Yeah, I wanted to flex. I was like, I have to show these people that I'm a serious artist. let me make a song in 5/4.
And then you switch it up. You go back to 4/4, and then you had like some like the bass. Talk to me about that song, because it's out, right? I mean, why not talk about it?
Yeah. So, are you talking about the second half, like the yeah. So that was actually the bass line for Spud. I wrote a song that was like the main theme of Spud, like the da 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 da, like the melody part.
Yeah.
I made like a big dramatic version of that, and that was the main theme of Spud. And then I made like a hip version of it with like the bass line and the melody, and that was the options menu theme.
Okay.
And then I ended up changing the main theme and everything for Spud, so I basically just scrapped that. And then when I was making the 5/4 part of Time Falling, I was like, I should have it transition to a really cool 4/4 part. And then I just thought of that song, and I was like, wait, I can literally just connect these two songs.
Yeah, totally works out. Totally works out.
So, and then it ended up working like perfectly. I actually wrote that part of Time Falling like 4 or 5 years ago.
That's crazy. So. Finally getting some love. I think the best, the part that hits the most for me is right when you transition back into 5/4 and you bring in the arpeggiators. I don't know if that's what you call them, like the, you know,
oh, those arpeggios. Yeah. I'm actually glad you really like the part where I transitioned back into 5/4, because in my opinion that's the worst part of the song by Country Mile. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, I could have done that so much better.
No.
You know,
that's my
but it's really
shit.
funny. It's really funny because when we were talking earlier about your music covers that I enjoyed, and you said, you know, the ones I liked the most were the worst ones. This is something you have to really know when you're making things, is that the shit you hate the most, people are going to like it the most. People are going to say, what, that's the best thing. Like, that's you know, and then stuff that you like the most, you put the most effort into, people aren't going to care as much about. That's like universally true with like any creator. I feel like that happens to like everyone.
Yeah.
So I think that's really funny that's the case here too, because I look back at it and I'm like, I could have done that so much better. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It just hits you again, like, and I'm like, okay. Definitely a big fan of that, and the panning too of the arpeggios. Good stuff. You can't go without the right speaker, because what I'll do, just like a little tangent, I'll like listen. Right now I actually have my headphones set up where I have it on one ear, and it's my left ear. So when I listen to it like that, it's like, but then I'll put it on, like, much better. But yeah, I want to hear about the battle theme, because we're gonna be listening to that a lot, I feel.
The battle theme?
The battle theme.
Oh,
Here comes
I'm sorry.
trouble.
You mean Here Comes Trouble? You mean a battle theme?
You mean yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
So
yeah. Okay.
Here Comes Trouble, the slapper-do banger that people seem to be very interested in. Which, thank you, by the way. I'm very humbled by everyone's response to that song. That is one of many battle themes in the game. There's not like a ton different ones. There's just a few different things depending on what kind of enemy you're fighting, where you are in the game, and depending on what kind of enemy you're fighting too. There might be like one particular battle theme has more emphasis on a particular motif than others, while still having a lot of the same main melodies and elements from Here Comes Trouble. So, for example, one of the variations on the song is called Trouble Finds Me. So it's just like a fun little thing based on that. Yeah. I'm sorry, so I completely like dodged your original thing. So what did you want to ask about Here Comes Trouble?
I mean, just like concept-wise and just writing it and how that was for you.
Oh, sure. There was a song from Spud that went something like this. Which you might recognize from Here Comes Trouble. And as I would, come up with different parts to it, I would come up with variations. And one of those variations was a...
Yeah.
Which I really liked. And I was like, maybe I could use it for a world map theme in Spud or something. So later, as I started making other, it was like, okay, I got to make a battle theme. The battle theme originally started with, the part in Here Comes Trouble that does the that's how the song originally started. But then I just felt it sounded better if I did it with the new way. And that motif you're going to be hearing a lot in the battle themes. It's because that's just kind of like the battle motif.
Right.
Yeah, it was just sort of like a cobbled together thing from a couple of old ideas and motifs and stuff. One goal I really have with the soundtrack is rethinking people's ideas and impressions of what Sega Genesis music sounds like. Because Sega Genesis, like Genesis music, or particularly FM music, is something that I'm very passionate about, something that I'm very into.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a very bad or misguided impression on what the system is capable of and the kind of sounds that it can make. So when I'm making the other soundtrack, I very, very rarely, and I mean one in like 10 songs, ever use reverb. I try to not break the polyphony limits of like how many notes you can have going at once.
Right.
I try to make every song like, obviously I'm using FL Studio, I'm using a DAW, I'm not tracking it, so it can't be perfect, but I'm trying to stay within limitations and stuff for Genesis music. And every song, I make the instruments. These are all patches that, are either other people have made or I've made myself that do run on the Sega Genesis, where like I can take a screenshot of Jenny.
Yeah, I've seen Jenny before.
Yeah, I will go in to those lower parts and that algorithm thing at the top, and it's like you manually change all those parameters, which do different things, obviously, to get like the exact sound you want.
Yeah.
So I really, it's like my goal, my goal, of course, with the soundtrack is to make a really good soundtrack that fits the game, totally appropriate, gets your blood pumping, all sorts of stuff. But like my secondary goal is to just really give people a deeper appreciation for FM music, because it's something I really like, and that's something that a lot of people, don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
The name of this song is called Go Outside, and it's one of the Overworld themes.
Okay.
I love giving people stuff to chew on, which is really funny because it's like it's when I'm posting like online publicly, I'm very like kind of not secretive, but I really don't like showing off stuff unless it's perfect.
Right.
Or not perfect, but just like I like want it to be like really good, or I just like keeping secrets. So I haven't shown a ton of stuff off. I'm very aware of that.
Yeah, no.
But whenever I'm like with someone,
I think.
yeah, like that's definitely what I'm doing. But whenever I'm like talking to someone or showing someone something in person, I have like no qualms with like literally just like telling them whatever or like showing them stuff just because I'm excited about it.
Of course, and I'm definitely like. You gotta consider though. At the end of the day, I am still like a consumer, and like I believe me.
Yeah, I'm not for your sake. I'm not going to spoil.
Yeah,
anything.
I need my mind to be blown when it happens and stuff.
Don't worry. I fucking promise you will not be disappointed.
Yes, dude.
I'm really happy that people are, looking forward to it, as I've said.
Yeah. And that's really all of my questions asked. And again, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. Had a lot of fun. And I'm, really, like I said, really excited to release the demo, launch the Kickstarter, and just get, I'm really excited that people are interested in the game. It means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah. And speaking of the demo, if you're going to be at the Let's Play Gaming Expo in Irving, Texas, you'll be able to play it for yourself. And I'm told it'll be there all 3 days on the convention floor.
Actually, I don't know why, for some reason they sent me an email and, they said that for like the indie stuff, it's only going to be for Saturday and Sunday. So it's the 10th and the 11th.
Well, there goes my cool outro bit.
But I will be there. I'll be there every day.
You'll be there.
So
yeah, go check
if
him out.
you find me somehow, I don't know, if you recognize me somehow, you can punch me and twist my arm and maybe I'll let you play it early.
And unfortunately, I will not be there. Ugh, I know. Yeah, people want to go for me. No. But seriously, follow this man on his socials and anyone else involved in this. I will leave them on screen right now. Boom. It's right there. Is it? It is. Yeah, okay, it is. And also in the description. And do you have anything to say to the people?
Well, my friend Josie asked if I could do a little shout out for him, so shout outs to Josie. I hate you. You suck. Go die. Here's your shout out. Kelly, I love you. You're the best. That's about it. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Buy this man a coffee. That's what I have to say. Get this man some. He needs some coffee. All right. Thank you again, man.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure, dude. I'm so sorry in advance for having all the editing you're gonna have to do.
Oh,